house, and I reciprocated. I was like, "Why don't you come to my house and we'll do some stuff." I did not do that to them. You know, I did not do. I didn't sit there and do that to them when I invited them to my house for um, whatever, for a thing. Like I said, look, I'm not really down for vegan cooking, but I'm going to cook something vegan for you. So I did mushroom burgers.
Please tell me that they had the respect to say how good your cooking was.
Well, I knew the mushroom burgers were good because I've had mushroom burgers before. Like basically, you take portobello caps and you basically there's two ways to do it. The first way is you take fresh portobello caps and you know that works, but I was like, I'm going to give them a texture that's almost like meat, so I partially dehydrated the portobello caps, then I rehydrated them in kind of like a marinade, and then I grilled them on the grill because it's damn near impossible to overcook a mushroom. So basically, you wound up getting a mushroom cap that's very meaty, and you know I knew they aren't into bread, so I got lettuce wraps. But I mean, all the other accoutrements were there, and they had a good time. I'm like, see, I actually tried to make you something good. Like, so why when you like in my head, I'm like, why when you know I invite you to my house, you give me this shit? Like, I don't get that. You know, because I mean, if I'm gonna invite someone to my house,
You
I'm
at
gonna
least try to treat them right.
I'm gonna go all out and try and make the shit good. Why would you, you know,
Give
invite
give
me to your
the
house and give me some shit? Like that's where I'm
I
kind
was
of
about
like,
to say, if that's how you treat your guests, might be best to stay out of your place.
like you know, like, yeah, it's good. I'm like, this is some bullshit right here.
Hmm.
It was trash, and people don't like hearing that. Oh, that's how can you say that? Come on, man. You know that shit was trash. Anyway, um, so anyway, this is for those of you who are just listening. This is a light podcast. Um,
Yeah, I was about to say that if anything, we like to welcome you to the BS Sisters End of the Week podcast for Box Day of 2020.
aka the second day of I mean the day after Christmas.
Yeah, 6 days until we get out of this year.
Yeah, and let me tell you something. I'm gonna be so happy. I'm gonna be so happy to get this damn to say goodbye to 2020. 2020, as far as I'm concerned, can go fuck itself.
Hey, it did a number on me too, so you're not the only one in this camp.
So 2020 messed up my business. 2020 kicked me in the ass. 2020 wasted a whole bunch of my time.
Yeah, and all of it started right near my birthday, no less. So, if anything, I'm definitely one to get rid of it.
So, but anyway, we're not going to talk about that, just how shitty 2020 has been. Instead, we're going to talk about some other things near and dear to our heart, which is we have some submitted topics, and we're going with Jules. So, her are ice themes. So, go ahead.
Well, if anything, the idea is trying to um figure out if you ever ha- had some good or bad experiences with ice levels and anything that you like about them. For me, I actually like the theme of of some ice levels because they actually give you that fresh coat of white that sometimes is missing when you're traveling through some heavy dungeons or going through various landscapes. The thing I don't like about ice, the physics. Or rather, the physics that usually come with ice at times. And I bet you could name them off the top of your head, Red.
Uh, I agree. I think that most ice levels suck. I would say that the only games that had
I
ice
said the
levels.
I said the ice physics, like
No,
freezing,
well, I'm going beyond that.
slippery.
I think most ice levels in most video games suck. Like I'll give an example, especially 3D games. 2D games, you can it's kind of fun because they're not entire areas built around that concept. But 3D games, like I have never played a 3D game where I was fond of the ice levels. Like for example, plays Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time and going to Zora's domain after it was frozen over, and going to where Jabu Jabu used to be, where it's like all
And don't tell me
icy.
that the Tubelar is still on that same spot, isn't he?
Haven't you played that game? Jabu Jabu in the future isn't there. It's all iced over.
Oh,
It's just a fucking way. Like it's a terrible area to traverse because it's icy. You can't move around. Your traction is it's just not fun. It's not a fun gameplay experience. Um, and
actually, I just remembered, and this is something that I was remembering from seeing playthroughs because I'm no fan of 3D Zelda games. Remember that Lord Jabu Jabu is still on his seat in one certain location, and it's where you go to see that fish.
no, he's gone. He in Ocarina of Time, when you do the 7 year time jump, Jabu Jabu's dead. Doesn't exist anymore. He's gone. He's dead. King Zora is still there, but he's frozen. You can unfreeze him if you get the blue flames, the blue eternal flames that can
Oh, that's
unfreeze
the thing.
everything.
I was thinking the king, not the not Jabu Jabu.
No, no. Jabu Jabu is the giant fish. You have to
Yeah,
go into his stomach as a kid, but he dies or is murdered. I don't know. He's gone by the time you get to the seven
yeah.
year time jump. So basically, what I'm saying is this: it's a shit winter level. The only Legend of Zelda game that got the winter level that was moderately enjoyable is Twilight Princess.
And let me guess, it was in that mansion.
No, the whole area was pretty good. Like okay, using your wolf ability to sniff out the scents so that you can find shit is really interesting. So that you can find the Yeti, Yeto. Turning into Hylian Link and snowboarding down the hill to get to the chateau is really interesting. Like that game is like basically. I mean, I keep on saying this. Twilight Princess is basically like, okay, we know that Ocarina of Time is overrated bullshit. Here's a better version of Ocarina of Time. I mean, that's basically what Twilight Princess is. It's better. It's Ocarina of Time, but done better. Like it has a better final boss fight. It has better gameplay mechanics. It's better Ocarina of Time. Like Ocarina of Time, I think is overrated. It's good for what it was at the time, but there are better Legend of Zelda games out there. And literally, Twilight Princess is better Ocarina of Time. Like basically, like Ocarina of Time's Water Temple sucks. Twilight Princess's Water Temple is like 10 times better. It's better designed. It's less frustrating. It's more interactive. It's easier to navigate, and yet a lot of the same ideas are there. But anyway, as I was saying, yeah, most most ice levels in video games suck, especially 3D games. Like I have not played a 3D game where the ice level wasn't some bullshit. The only ice level in modern times that I kind of enjoyed was the final boss in Tropical Freeze. Not the final boss, the boss of the ice area, Bashmaster.
Hmm.
Forgot the polar bear who like who's licking a popsicle, and because you and
Hmm.
Cranky break into his lair, he drops his popsicle and gets pissed. Like that's about the only, and that's because the boss has cool music. That's the only reason that is an enjoyable boss fight.
For me, it actually my favorite ice level or winter theme is between hot either for hot the hot ice volcano or freeze easy peak from the Banjo Kazooie series.
Mm, fair.
Those places are pretty good, and they actually don't give you that many ice physics to work with, but they do give you one thing to remember: don't go in the water.
Yeah, I don't like that either. Oh, the water's cold. You'll die of hypothermia. I'm like, come on, man.
Hey, if if it helps, it means that it's a stupid idea to get in the water in the first place.
Yeah, well, I get what you're saying. I just don't. I don't like the concept. I don't like because the thing is, it's a video game. Like
Yeah,
hypothermia. Hypothermia shouldn't be a thing unless like
you are
you
swimming
shouldn't
in
introduce
water.
you shouldn't introduce hypothermia unless it's a major part of the game from the beginning, right? You can't have a game where like 85% of the game you don't have to worry about how cold or how hot the water is. But now when you get to the ice level, oh, the water's too cold, you're dying. I'm like, yeah,
Um,
fuck you. No, no. That's
they
unacceptable.
I was gonna make the concept that they did play play with the idea some in Banjo Tooie, thanks to Mumbo Jumbo having to cast a spell where you could breathe underwater in one of the levels.
I don't like that. I don't like I don't like games that like add concepts just to make it more difficult for you to play the game.
If anything, it's like I treat that water there like bubble goop swamps. Dangerous to go in because of the infestation of hungry creatures.
So that's my thing. I don't like if you're making things more difficult for me to play a game, I don't like that.
Then welcome to Status Effects Ice, where if you get frozen, you're not moving an inch.
So
One of the worst things to do with ice levels: have creatures that specialize in freezing you solid.
yeah, I don't like that. I don't like ice levels in video games by and large, except when it like if you give me the ability to not make it into an issue, then I'm okay. But if it's like a major issue, then I'm not into it. Here's some breaking news. Well, not really breaking news. It happened 4 days ago, but I think it's interesting. An Alabama man who's 35 is charged with illegal owning an attack squirrel he fed meth and called D's nuts.
Did I hear that right? He said he was under arrest for calling something these nuts.
Yeah, well, he had an attack squirrel that he fed meth to, and the name of the squirrel was D's nuts. And that is simultaneously both the funniest thing in the world and also terrifying. It's funny because I mean anyone who would have an attack squirrel named D's nuts is hilarious. And secondly, I mean, the fact that it wasn't in Florida, because normally when you hear something like that, you're like, oh, this got to be Florida, man. Nope, Alabama, which is close to Florida. It's a neighboring state.
Right next to me. Thank you very much for giving me more concern about my neighbors.
So there you go, folks. Don't go to Alabama or you might be attacked by
These nuts. Oh,
the D's
God.
nut squirrel.
I'm trying not to laugh and facepalm at the same time because.
Come on, I mean that is such a juvenile thing to say, but it's also funny. It's like, yeah, I was talking to my grandmother and I told her about D's. D's what, Sonny? D's nuts.
Yeah, you could tell why I was facepalming because it's so cheesy that you might as well have a pizza.
I
That's
mean,
how cheesy it is.
it's stupid, but it's fun.
Yeah.
How's it going, Kenoshi?
Good, how are you?
It's going. It's going. We're having a chill little podcast.
Okay.
So yeah, yeah. My as far as Ice user goes, I don't really have a favorite Ice user because I don't really give a shit about the franchise.
Huh.
I mean, I don't give a shit about Ice
We were
characters.
talking about ice. Yeah, we were talking about ice levels, ice physics, and we didn't get into ice characters. Though I think the only character of ice that I could actually work with would be the King
Sub-Zero?
of Fighters.
Sub-Zero from Mortal Kombat.
Very funny. I was saying King of Fighters.
Uh,
She.
it can't be Mai Shiranui.
No, it's not. She's a fire fighter.
Fantastic.
Fire user.
Well, she's fighting something. Look, those tatas are fighting gravity. That kimono is fighting to hold everything together. Uh,
Well, if anything, I at least know that there is an ice character in King of Fighters. It's just that if anything, she's not. I know she's the well, she's one of the bosses that you actually fight at times, but the name slips by. So sorry about that.
I don't know either. So, Kenoshi, how was your Christmas?
Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, it's just it was quiet, not too much. Not too much happened. How's your guys' Christmas?
Same. Quiet.
Mixed.
Not a lot of people starting any shit.
Yeah.
And that made it great for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the best thing is, I got cash. Cash for Christmas.
Yeah, that's always nice.
You know.
Hey, Red's like Batman. Always go cash.
Well, I mean, I've said this before. If you're going to give someone something for the only gift card that is acceptable for Christmas is gift cards is if you give someone an Amazon gift card because you can get practically anything off of Amazon, right? Like anything you want, you can pretty much get off of Amazon. So an Amazon gift card is acceptable because Amazon sells so much shit. But if you get someone a gift card to a specific place, like I got you a gift card to Cold Stone Creamery, you re-gifted that shit because I don't live anywhere close to a fucking Cold Stone Creamery. That's that's the thing gets me when people re-gift shit and it's a re-gift.
Yeah, I was gonna say at the very least, if you're going to give them a gift card, give them something that they would actually go for.
Like I said, when someone gives you a gift card to some place that's very specific, and it's some place that's nowhere near where you live, where you can't, it's not like you can be like, well, I'll eventually go there. Like I remember when I was in college, my final year in college, because I'm not gonna say my senior year, because like I kind of went a year ahead because I did a lot of summer coursework and extra shit. But my last year in college, when I graduated, like I got a gift card for something, and it was to a place that like wasn't even near where I lived. Like they were the only like I would spend more money going to the place where the gift card was to than actually using the gift card. And I'm like, this is some bullshit right here.
Yeah.
I'm like, now you know good and hell well I don't live any place near where this place is. I'm mad that you would even give me this. I mean, you can't say that, but in my head I was like that. I was like, you sorry bastard. Anyway, uh, so, um, you know, we're almost to the end of the year. I'm not going to talk about end of the year things that people want to get off. I'll save that for the 30th. We'll call that the end of year cast. So, with all that being said, do you guys have anything that now on to the Christmas portion of the cast? What was your favorite Christmas gift you have ever gotten? Or gifts? It doesn't have to be just one.
I'll probably have to say, I'm not sure. I would have to say, probably the N64 or the PlayStation.
It's fairly decent.
Yeah, I got one year, I got an N64, and then a couple years before that, I got a PlayStation. So yeah, those were both pretty
Epic.
pretty good
Epic gifts right there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I could agree with that. I would say that
Which topic are you on? Because I was trying to, because I was just came back a little bit.
we were talking about the best Christmas gifts that we've ever gotten.
Oh.
Originally, I was say the gift, but you know, people have multiple gifts.
Yeah. Well, you got one read or several?
I was gonna let you go. I was gonna go last because Kenoshi already went.
Okay, for me, video game wise, the console that I gained was for Christmas was actually the GameCube of all things.
Really?
Yeah.
The Cube.
Yep.
I'm not gonna lie. I like the GameCube too.
And the game that came with it to go with the game would be the what was it? Oh yeah, Soul Calibur 2.
That is a good that is like my favorite Soul Calibur game.
Yeah, if only it was remade.
Yeah, that would have been awesome if they had if they would have remade that game. But you know, what are you gonna do? You know.
Huh. At least you could complain about it.
I mean, I'll be honest with you. I think Soul Calibur 2 is really the best Soul Calibur game they've ever made. I haven't seen a Soul Calibur game that is as well made as Soul Calibur 2. And I know some people are going to be like, how could you say that? Come on, man. You know good and hell well that no Soul Calibur they've made since then has approached being as well made as Soul Calibur 2.
And that's when you include the other Soul Calibur 2 console exclusives.
No, just even the other console exclusives. Soul Calibur 2 is one of the best Soul Caliburs ever made. Because, like, basically, each system had their own exclusive character. Each exclusive character played differently. It wasn't just a reskin. Each exclusive character, except for Heihachi, kind of made sense to be there. It was just a really well-made game, and the sad thing is that they haven't really. There's been nothing that really kind of fits.
Soul Calibur 2 Sense, right?
Yeah, there's been nothing that really is like, well, this is like Soul Calibur. No, not really.
Yeah, though for non digital media, it was when I got I had a starter pack for UFC, Universal Fighting System, and oddly enough, Mega Man was one of my starters.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Um, so I guess it's my turn. I have had a lot of really good video games from when I was a kid, but I'm gonna go with my favorite Christmas gifts. First of all, 1991. I was 4 going on 5, and I got the Super Nintendo for Christmas. That was fucking awesome. Or is it 92? 91 or 92? No, it was 92. And I got the Super Nintendo for Christmas. That was fucking awesome. And then when I got my N64 for Christmas, that was awesome too. Because I got Mario 64, because it was a pack-in title, and it was fucking amazing. Let's see. The same year I got my my Super Nintendo, I also got a bucket of Legos and a huge, giant model of Godzilla. And, like...
You lucky sob.
Yeah, I still have that toy. And, I was a Godzilla fan anyway, because when I was a kid, we had a little something called cable for those young people. And cable...
It's like satellite, but with something more physical.
No, we had cable, and cable channels, like, we had TBS. And TBS's big thing was, basically, the big thing with cable is that you would have this thing called, we had TBS, and TBS, during the middle of the day, would have Monster Vision with Grandpa from the Munsters. And they would show these cheesy B-grade movies. And, sometimes you'd have stuff from Ray Harryhausen, like The Valley of Gwangi and the Beast from 10,000 Fathoms, and It Came from Outer Space and stuff like that. But then they'd show Toho stuff like King Kong's Revenge and Godzilla vs. King Kong and Rodan and stuff like that. And I'd watch that. So I was like a huge Godzilla fan when I was a little kid. And early in the morning on TNT, Fraggle Rock would come on, because this was after the deal with cable TV ran out. Because Fraggle Rock used to be on HBO. And then... Yeah, and then once the contract ran out, they went to TNT. And Fraggle Rock had one of the most catchy theme songs ever.
Oh, yeah.
Dance the day away.
Worry for another day. Let the music play. Down the Fraggle Rock.
Yeah.
Oh God.
It was a good.
I'm that old.
it was a good thing. I mean, basically, like we hit that golden age where the puppetry and the imagination that we had, like even the bootleg Sesame Street TV shows were pretty good when we were kids. Like Eureka's Castle and
the Nickelodeon show.
Yeah, Eureka's Castle was pretty good. This was like we were in that cusp between Barney and Teletubbies, where the bootleg Sesame Street TV shows were coming out, and they were still pretty good, right? We had that golden age where it was still pretty good even for the bootlegs. Like I said, PBS had really good programming back in the day, like Reading Rainbow and the Magic School Bus. And Zoobity Zoo with Ben Vereen.
Yeah, the only one I wouldn't recommend letting any little kid watch Barney.
I mean, Barney wasn't terrible. It just wasn't like, it wasn't up there with Sesame Street.
Yeah.
But really, who is up there with Sesame Street?
God knows we didn't learn anything from these shows.
What?
Like, watching these were supposed to be educational, but I don't really remember learning a damn thing from, from any of those shows.
I'd have to disagree. The Sesame Street knockoffs that we had when we were kids, or at least that were trying to ape that Sesame Street learning educational type stuff, was still pretty good. I mean, and you still kind of learned something. Like Mr. Rogers learned shit from that. Obviously, Sesame Street, Zoobity Zoo, the Electric Light Company. Let's see. Fraggle Rock I didn't learn anything from, but Fraggle Rock was more entertainment, less education. But Barney, oh god, fuck Barney. I hate Barney. Barney was the downfall of good educational television for children. But but even the shit that was supposed to be just entertaining was good. I mean, like in the early 90s, we had like we had Tiny Toons and Animaniacs, and hell, even our mindless, like G.I. Joe was enjoyable. TMNT, which was one big toy commercial, but we still enjoyed it.
Hey, we had good toy commercials back then.
Yeah, we did. Well, basically, our cartoons were better back then because we had stuff like basically, here's the thing. Okay, back then, the big thing that kind of brought everything together was if you had a good theme song, everything could work out. If you had a good theme song.
And oh boy, there were some good theme songs at least.
Yeah. I mean, like even the shitty shows had good theme songs. Like Silverhawks. Silverhawks was a terrible show, but that theme song was pretty good. Cops, and I don't mean Bad Boys.
Wait.
I mean the cops that had the main character of the show was this vaguely looking black guy with a really, really, really fucking deep voice.
I was trying to be sure I wasn't hearing things.
No, that was the name
Cops.
Yeah, it was called Cops. Jim and the Holograms.
Jim and the Holograms.
I mean, look, Jim and the Holograms was terrible, but man, that theme song was fucking awesome. Obviously, TMNT, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
The music, the wordless but ever epic SWAT Cats.
Yeah, SWAT Cats had a cool theme song, but you're right, it was wordless and kind of the theme song was good, but it was kind of generic. It was good, but it was just kind of generic. But all of this kind of began with Thundercats, and the theme song for that was written by James Lipton. So,
oh god, now I got that theme song remembered in my head. Thank you.
Thundercats was good though.
Yeah. It's just that if anything, when a certain song gets caught in your head,
that earworm, yeah, that earworm. But anyway, as I was saying, it was really good back in the day because if you had a good theme song, everything else would flow from it. And don't get me started with the Disney afternoon cartoons. All those cartoons had cool theme songs.
Oh yeah.
Even the lame shows like Care Bears had a cool theme song.
Wait, Care Bears.
Yeah, Care Bears had a cool theme song.
I was actually surprised somebody said that.
Yeah, it did. Care Bears,
again,
Gummy Bears.
The theme song that comes up every time I hear of the Disney afternoon is the Darren Duck of Mystery, Champion of Right.
Yeah, Darkwing Duck. Like all those shows had good theme songs. Darkwing Duck, Rescue Rangers, Gummy Bears, The New Adventures of Winnie the Pooh. I already said DuckTales, didn't I?
No.
Okay,
You just did
DuckTales,
mention it.
Gargoyles.
Which is kind of a wordless theme song.
Yeah, but Gargoyles was surprisingly dark to be on Disney's Cartoon Hour. Hell, even Bonkers had a good theme song. But I mean, like, here's the thing: if you could give us a good theme song, we would give you a chance. If you could give us a good theme song. The problem with a lot of these shows nowadays is that their theme songs suck. Even the reboots, the theme songs aren't as good as the original. Like they did a reboot of DuckTales, and that theme song's fucking trash.
It's not that bad, but it
Not
doesn't
as good as the
zing.
original. and
I was
that's
saying it doesn't have that zing of the original.
that's what you gotta you gotta beat the original. Like, if you're gonna do a remake, you gotta be better. You have to be as good as or better than the original. And if you can't do that, then you suck. Okay, serviceable isn't good enough when the original was so good. It's like if you do a remake of an old movie and your remake is worse than the original, then what's the point?
If anything, that's probably the hardest thing to get. Music.
Yeah, but I mean, that's the thing. It's like you already have a template. It's like you could just like DuckTales. They could have reused the same damn song, and no one would have said anything because that song is timeless. You know, like, I'll keep it real, okay? Like, they did the New Adventures of Winnie the Pooh, and I'm not gonna lie, the new song was better than that old one from back in the 50s. You know, Winnie the Pooh, Winnie the Pooh. I hate that song. It's lame. It sounds stupid.
It's slow tempoed. I'm saying that right now.
Not even that. It's like, really, this is who we're supposed to root for, this fat son of a bitch. But then you get what we had when we were kids. You know, even like okay, I'll give an example, right? Like a big commercial thing from back in the day was Alvin and the Chipmunks covers of popular songs, right?
God.
Right? And it was for its time, it was good. For its time, it was good. But then you get to the 80s with us, and our shit was better. It was more rock and roll, you know? With the Chipmunks singing their theme song. You know, we're the Chipmunks. CHIPMUNK. And they tell you their entire, like, you learn everything you need to know just from the song. Okay? And that's pretty good. That's pretty good writing. Like, if you can learn everything you need to know about your character in a short period of time, that's good writing. Bad writing is where they just kind of just throw some shit together. Oh, did you know this? No, I didn't know that. Shut up.
Oh God! Don't get me started on the a travesty that is one of the worst reboots of one of my favorites.
And what would that be?
Roar.
Yeah, that reboot was shit. I'm like, okay, you're trying to go dark with Thundercats. Why? Because Thundercats already was kind of dark, and they're like, well, we're gonna.
I said Thundercats Roar.
Oh, you mean the third reboot? Because I mean the second reboot.
The second reboot wasn't terrible, but
they were trying to go too dark with it.
Yeah.
But the third reboot was kind of trash.
It was an insult to me.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, it's pretty bad. Thundercats, ho! I don't know how they could fuck up Thundercats though, because all Thundercats was about was a young a boy stuck in a man's body having to grow up. That's all Thundercats was about. That was the entire plot of it.
Yeah, and they kept it PG most of the time too.
No, not really, because when you think about it, it kind of they kind of shrouded some adult concepts in a PG rating. Because I mean, think about it. Lionel's sword gets longer in order for him to get ready for action. I mean, come on, man. We all know what was going on there.
Yeah, that is unintentional, even to me to figure that out because
and him trying to, and him definitely having that sexual tension between him and Chitara. It's like you do realize she's like 30 years old and you're like 12, right? Mentally speaking. I mean, isn't that technically rape? It's like yeah. And Panthro, just all I'm saying is this: Thundercats was a pretty good show, and then they made the first reboot where they tried to make it dark and gritty, and I'm like, why?
And while it was already a grimdark story of the Thundercats, doing a reboot wasn't bad, but they kind of got burned by the market that was around rather than its own fire.
Not really. They were trying too hard, in my opinion. Like, they were trying too hard to make it dark and gritty for a show that was already dark and gritty. Because really, if you really like our cartoons when we were kids, they weren't afraid to have some really fucked up shit, like Inhumanoids. Which, for those of you who don't know what Inhumanoids is, just look up Inhumanoids. Inhumanoids had some fucked up shit going on in it. Or TMNT, where you see Yoshi get
Hamato Yoshi?
Yeah, Hamato Yoshi, Master Yoshi, get horrendously mutated into a giant rat. It's like, this is some fucked up shit right here. I mean, and that was the kiddified version of TMNT, not the original comic book origin. That was the kiddified version. It was still kind of fucked up. Or seeing Baxter Stockman in the cartoon get turned into the Fly. I'm like, this is some shit from Cronenberg's The Fly. That's literally what they did to Baxter Stockman and TMNT. They Cronenberged his ass. and it's like, God, this is horrific. But we kind of dealt with it because we were kids and we were just like, yeah, we were tough. We were at the cusp of that generation where they still had toys that could kill you and were dangerous. And like now everything is all safe and pussified. And we can't.
Safety, I like the lowering of glorification of violence. Not so much.
No, I liked toys that were dangerous because basically, if your child was too stupid to know not to fuck with something dangerous, little Johnny wouldn't live long enough to contribute their stupid ass genes to the next generation. See, that's why you got so many stupid people running around now, because the shit that used to weed out stupid, it doesn't exist anymore. Stupid is allowed to proliferate.
I would agree with you because of what we got now.
Look, think about it, okay? If someone tells you, hey, look, listen, don't, like, remember a few years ago where these people went to this zoo and were picking on this tiger, and the tiger jumped the fence and killed their asses? Now, see, the fact that someone would be dumb enough to pick on a tiger.
Who honestly is dumb enough to go over the safety lines?
No, they didn't.
They were a tiger.
The tiger. They didn't go over the safety lines. They went to a zoo. The zoo was behind the fence. I mean, the tiger was behind the fence. They picked on the tiger. The tiger jumped the fence, stopped their ass, and killed them. Now, here's the thing, okay? Now, look, listen, okay? I am not a stupid person. I have watched nature documentaries, and I know that tigers, like, here's the thing. The only thing that makes humans a dangerous creature is that we can use critical thinking and tools, okay? In using our natural talents that don't include our ability to use critical thinking and tools against other creatures, we are at the bottom of the barrel. We don't have the eyesight of most of the, advanced creatures that have really good eyesight. We don't have the sense of smell of some of the most advanced creatures that have senses of smell. We don't have the physical strength of most of the strongest creatures on planet Earth. So in a straight up fight, we're at the bottom of the barrel. We need to show respect to things that can fuck us up. So why would you pick on a creature that can fuck you up? that is kind of like the height of stupidity. And that tiger jumped that fence and ate and got their asses. Good, because if you're dumb enough to fuck with a tiger, you kind of it's like you kind of you're kind of taking you rolled the dice and you crapped out. I mean, people are like, that's a tragedy. Is it? It's like if someone tells you, hey, if someone tells you, hey, there's 2 routes to get to this town. The first route is filled with wild animals that have no fear of humans and they will kill you. And the other route is just as fast and it's safe. And you take the one that's filled with wild animals that'll kill you. I don't feel sorry for you. I'm sorry. Because there were clear warnings that not to go that way. Everyone always wants to act like things are a tragedy. It's tragic. It's a tragedy. Not really. A tragedy is something in which you have no control over. Like if you work in an office in downtown, in the downtown of a city, and you're going to lunch and you press a button on the elevator and it's the 11th floor and you're waiting on the elevator to come up, and the door is open and there's a bear in the elevator and it comes out and mauls you to death. That's a tragedy. Because what are the chances of that shit happening? But
as much as hitting the lottery, I think.
But if you go and do some shit where it's like you're fucking with that animal in their environment, I have no sympathy for your ass. I'm sorry. It's like, oh, it's a tragedy. No, you shouldn't have had your ass out there. Why do humans think they can fuck with nature and win? I don't get it.
Simple, because if anything, there's usually nothing that could stop us from doing whatever we want, which is a dangerous thing to exhibit.
Well, there's a little thing called death that stops us from doing whatever we want.
Yeah, but someday we'll conquer that too. But still, it's just some people are just, I don't get it. Like, I remember seeing this dude in Florida, right? He was like this athlete back in his day. He's like, I'm gonna chain myself to this tree, and the human body will withstand this hurricane. And he died. A car was lifted by hurricane gale force winds and pancaked his ass on that tree. And I'm like, people are like, it's a tragedy. How is that a tragedy that a dumb motherfucker died by doing dumb shit? That's not a tragedy.
Yeah.
Okay.
It reminds me of, I recently rewatched something called The World's Dumbest, and let me just say, stupid really astonishes you, especially when it hurts when it's near others. Like, somebody mistakenly shooting a fireworks right into the housing area of a neighborhood.
Yeah. All I'm saying is this. Like, okay, look, there needs to be, if you do something stupid and something bad happens to you, I don't feel sorry for you. Unless you're a child, because children don't know better. Like, I saw this thing where this little 2-year-old girl shot herself in the head. That's not her fault, because a 2-year-old has no concept of guns, okay? Now, her parents, why the fuck would you have a gun around a small child? You're stupid, okay? So, it's like stupidity should not be rewarded. But that's just my own personal opinion. But anyway, I think we've ranted long enough about that. Let's get to some of these fun topics. I do have some fun topics. So now that we're close to the end of the year, we have some really weird shit going on. So what games are you looking forward to in 2021?
For me, I'm wondering how No More Heroes and Bayonetta are gonna turn out.
Bayonetta 3?
Yeah.
Well, Bayonetta 3, I think, is probably going to be okay. Just because Bayonetta 2 was good. Like, Platinum doesn't... Unless Platinum is making, like, a Star Fox game, they tend not to make bad games. I'm sorry, Star Fox Zero is not good. It isn't. Come on. It's not. Like, how long do we have to pretend it was...
I'm sorry, I'm just looking at you like... You're really bashing this thing again.
No, I'm not bashing again. I'm just saying it wasn't good. It wasn't terrible, but it wasn't good. Like, basically, what I've discovered from playing all these Star Fox games is this: the more gimmicks you add to a Star Fox game, the shittier that Star Fox game gets to be. Like basically, you can over gimmick, you can overburden how many gimmicks a Star Fox game. Like a Star Fox game can only have one major gimmick at a time, and if you add more than one gimmick, it falls apart. You know, so some games can carry a lot of gimmicks. Some games can't. And unfortunately, Star Fox is one of those titles that gimmicks do not make it don't make it into a better game. So, and I know some people are going to be like, "How could you say that?" Come on, man.
I'm just going to. I was only saying that we already. This game was already bashed and beaten already. Do we need to beat it up again?
Let me put it this way, okay? Just because other people, like, I'm not bandwagoning it. I'm just simply saying that, you know, looking at it in hindsight, it's not that good. It's not terrible. It's like it's not the worst Star Fox game ever. That'd be Star Fox Command on the DS, because who the fuck thought that, yeah, let's make a Star Fox game where you control it with a stylus. Oh, fuck. I mean, that's worse, but it's not good either.
I was going to say that if anything, there's directional pads. There's the stylus. If anything, you can use the stylus to shoot.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but the thing is this, okay? No one wants to play a game where you have to fly a ship with either a stylus or a standard D-pad. Okay? The only time that was acceptable was with the original Star Fox, and it barely worked then. Okay? Once you got to Star Fox 64 with the analog control stick, why would you want to go backwards? You know, like you can't go backwards. I mean, I hate to put it like this.
I was going to say that if anything, sometimes going backwards to get back to a simpler time to understand where a game's coming from, or restart a series, that'd be interesting, but not always the best idea.
Backwards works when you fuck up, okay? Backwards works when you fucked up a franchise. But Star Fox wasn't really fucked up by them going too far. Star Fox was fucked up by them basically adding gimmicks that didn't work, because they couldn't figure out what to do with the franchise. So they kept on adding weird ass gimmicks to it. You know, because I mean, Star Fox began as a gimmick. Like Star Fox on the SNES was a gimmick for 3D, but that was one gimmick, and it worked. Star Fox 64, the 3D was baked into it now, so it was no longer a gimmick. It was a core thing. So they added Rumble, and that was the one gimmick, and it worked. Then they did Star Fox for the GameCube. I'm talking the mainline Star Fox games. I'm not talking about spin-offs like Dinosaur Planet, aka Star Fox Adventure, okay? And that game added on-foot missions, and it sucked. On-foot missions and Rumble, and it sucked, okay? On-foot missions sucked.
Rumble is not a bad thing.
Rumble isn't a bad thing, but you had the Rumble, and then you had the on-foot missions. The Rumble wasn't that bad. If they had just kept Rumble and had just a standard Star Fox game, it could have worked. But then they added the on-foot missions, and the on-foot missions were badly executed and badly designed and badly controlled. And you add those three, look, not only do you have the on-foot missions, which are awkward, but then you have them poorly designed, poorly implemented, and control like ass. Yeah, this is the trifecta of shit right there. And here's the thing, Star Fox Assault, Star Fox Assault was actually, I mean, if you took out the on-foot missions, was not that bad. But the on-foot missions brought that game down.
Yeah, this is the reason why I was saying that Star Fox Command is why I was thinking that it was going to be trying to be a reboot.
No. And then they did Star Fox Command, which... the idea of having a Star Fox game where you have other units that you can tell to do things while you're playing, good idea. The fact that they put it on the DS and used stylus controls, bad idea. Very bad idea. That should have been on a home console. And then they did Star Fox Zero mission. Star Fox Zero, which was just, eh. I mean, it was, eh.
I'm not surprised.
So that's my thing. I just don't. I mean, I like Star Fox. I like the original Star Fox. 64. Like, if the original Star Fox gets an A, I give 64 a B in my opinion. Um, it's got better controls and better base gameplay, but that music does not scratch any itches on me. Um, but then after that, to me, it's just been a steady downhill incline. And I'm going to say something unpopular. I think had Star Fox Dinosaur Planet, had it stayed as Dinosaur Planet instead of adding Star Fox into it, it's like, what are you doing here? Why are you here? Why are you here? Like, Star Fox makes that game worse. Because it's like they had to add concepts that really didn't fit the overall gameplay. Because they were trying to make it be like something else, which kind of makes it not enjoyable, at least for me.
I can understand.
But anyway, so anyone have any, Kenoshi, do you have some topics you want to bring up to the cast, if you will?
What is a game that at first you liked a lot, but as you thought more about the plot and the story, you started to like it less?
Breath of the Wild.
Mine is BioShock Infinite.
Yeah.
I was like, I was like, I really liked that game at first, and then I thought about the plot and the story. I was like,
this is stupid.
This is BS. Yeah, they should. Yeah, like they should have went all the way with it. That's my problem. They didn't go all the way with it. They did. They loosely connected. I'm talking about the main story, not the DLC. But they can loosely connected the BioShock, the original BioShock, and Infinite. I'm just kind of like, why didn't you guys just go all the way with it? The story's already kind of done. It's already kind of bonkers. If you would have went all the way with it, it still could have been like one of the greatest things ever. We had, we've talked about where you had Jack and like Elizabeth or Booker DeWitt fighting Comstock and
that would have been awesome.
Adam Ryan would have teamed up.
Or even better,
that would have been great.
Or even better, what if you had a alternate dimension where Andrew Ryan's vision of Rapture wasn't the fucked up hellhole it became, and like basically the kid that he had with that girl, he didn't tell her to have an abortion, so the kid grows up to be a perfect version of Jack instead of the all fucked up, gene modded version. And so that, like, basically you have a idealized Rapture having to, and Elizabeth and Booker DeWitt having to team up with like that version of Jack and an idealized Rapture versus, this dystopian, I forgot the name of the place in Infinite.
Columbia.
Yeah, Columbia. Like Big Daddies versus Founding Fathers. Gene mods and splicers versus I forgot the names of the dudes in Infinite. That could have been awesome, and they just refused to go. They're like, no. I'm like, that would have been awesome. That would have been awesome because Elizabeth already looked like an adult version of the Little Sisters anyway.
Yeah.
And that could have been like a really interesting thing where it's like, well, she's actually just an alternate adult version of the Little Sister but an alternate reality, and that would have been interesting. No, you're right. They were afraid to go full circle, but had they done that, that could have been awesome.
Yeah.
And like the DLC could have been okay. Well, now you have basically this world where, like, you find out that the Jack from this alternate BioShock 1 world is the male version of Elizabeth, where you can jump through times. He goes to her time, and you see how he can basically how the story plays out from his point of view, doing stuff.
Yeah.
Because I'm gonna keep it real. Jack from Mr. Would You Kindly was a way more interesting main character than Booker DeWitt. I'm sorry.
Yeah, a lot of it, you know, because sometimes with games like that, where you have a silent protagonist, you can just impose a particular personality on them.
Well, so. I mean, the thing about the first BioShock is you're thinking you're imposing your personality, your will on Jack, but really he's basically a failed aborted fetus that's been genetically imprinted in order to basically fulfill a certain purpose, and that's all he is.
Modified.
I mean, it's explained in the third act. He's like, would you kindly? Like, Andrew Ryan, he says, look, listen, a man chooses, a slave obeys, a man chooses. And the whole time, you've just been following commands because that's what you were programmed to do. And so when you finally are freed of the subliminal commands you were given, the choice that you like, the one thing that you can do where you're not being forced to. That's why the saving little sisters versus devouring them in order to get more Adam or more Eve is important, because it's the one choice that you can make where you're not being told what to do. And that's where the game kind of, that's where the first BioShock is brilliant. BioShock Infinite tried to do something similar, but it just didn't work because Booker DeWitt's kind of an annoying character. And they were afraid to make a statement. You know, they were so afraid to make a statement in that game. It was like, we can't alienate people. I'm like,
well, see, the problem with BioShock Infinite was it entered a bit of a development hell, and they needed to get a game out because, believe it or not, developers just don't make very good managers half the time.
Yeah.
They had to hire They had to hire a manager to get the game up and running.
And to be fair,
whatever vision they had.
And to be fair, most of the developers that cross into management, their development chops suffer.
Yeah.
But BioShock Infinite just wasn't that good. And it could have been great, but it just... Yeah, what are you going to do?
Here's another topic. I got a fight stick over Christmas vacation. Or not Christmas, during, Christmas yesterday. What do you guys prefer? Do you guys prefer arcade fight sticks or controllers? Or does it just depend on the fighting game?
It depends on the game. If I'm playing a game that that started out on the home console, then I prefer to use a controller because it's optimized for a controller. If it's a game that started in the arcade and I played it in the arcade, then I'm going to use an arcade stick.
Oh, okay.
Like, it just depends on what's the purest expression of that game. And I know some people are going to get mad when they hear that. Oh, but how could you say that? Very easily. But, yeah. But back to your previous thing, your topic before that. I would say Breath of the Wild was a game I really enjoyed at first, and then the longer I played it, the more I realized there was so much shit missing from this game that should be here.
Yeah.
I can't enjoy this anymore.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you something else that I know some people might get angry about, but over the past few days, I played the Metroid 2 remake that Nintendo DMCA'd, and then I went back and played the 3DS remake done by Mercury Steam. And I'm gonna say something unpopular, but the Mercury Steam remix sucks.
Yeah,
It,
I really like
uh,
the way the new one looks,
it 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 doesn't
or
even.
the one the guy made.
Yeah,
The
because
fan made one
the
looks.
one the guy made is the one that I thought Nintendo should have made, which is basically like they took the concept of Metroid Zero Mission and Fusion and took that engine and basically made Metroid 2, which makes a lot of sense. Like I don't know why Nintendo hasn't figured out that they need to stop trying to put Metroid Prime into the 2D Metroid games. Cuz they're two completely different gameplay styles.
They don't want to alienate that audience because the problem with
Fuck
the
that
Metroid Prime,
audience. Cuz they're two
the problem
different
with the Metroid
audiences.
Prime audience is that it kind of splits the fan base. And
Yeah.
old Metroid, new fan base, and it's like whatever.
Yeah, but I mean, they can like. Here's the thing:
You did this thing
the
yourself,
the
Nintendo.
2D Metroidvania audience is bigger than the Metroid Prime audience. Because look at the sheer amount of 2D Metroidvanias that have come out and sold gangbusters. People want that 2D Metroid experience. So why do they keep on trying to put peanut butter with pickles? I'll never understand.
Wait, you actually tried peanut butter and pickles?
Well, no, I'm just saying the two don't really go together, is what I'm saying. Like, 2D Metroid is a completely different animal than 3D Metroid. I mean, that's why Other M sucked, was because they basically were trying... Like, that game didn't know what the fuck it wanted to be. It's like, does it want to be a beat 'em up like a hack and slasher? Does it want to be a 3D game like Metroid Prime? Does it want to be a 2D game? And it was trying to be three different types of games, and it didn't do any of those really well. I'm sorry, it's like you can go back and play Metroid Zero Mission, and that game still holds up. You can go back and play Fusion, that game still holds up. Go back and play Other M. That game, you play it once, and it's like, yeah, this is nice. You play it a second time, it's like, why am I playing this again?
Unless you're a completionist.
No, even then, it's not worth it. It's just not a very well constructed game. And I know people are going to be like, "Oh, you fanboy." It's like, look, the first Metroid game I ever played was Metroid 2: Samus Returns. So I don't want to hear that shit from people. Oh, you're a fanboy. No, I've played my share of Metroid games.
This is from somebody that got into Metroid that got into Metroid seriously thanks to Metroid 4. Or as people would call it, Metroid Fusion.
I don't call it that. I've never called it Metroid 4. There's Metroid, Metroid 2, Super Metroid, and Metroid Fusion. Those and Metroid Zero Mission, which is Metroid 1.
Oh, no. You're not skipping that. There's Metroid Fusion and Zero Mission. There's no way you're skipping that.
I didn't skip it. I said Metroid Zero Mission is Metroid 1. It's a remake of Metroid 1 with extra content added. Really, it holds up except for the stealth modes when you're in the Zero suit and you have to run away from those space pirates and get your suit back, which is kind of stupid. But aside from that, it's a pretty good game.
I don't consider it stupid. I actually consider it a way of actually knowing the power that you're going up against without the suit, which means you really were screwed.
The reason I say it's stupid is because the game design and the pacing is such a drastic change from what you were doing when you had the suit that it's not very well designed at that point. It's like it feels pigeoned in. It feels like it was just kind of thrown in there, just for the sake of having the Zero suit. Like it doesn't feel like it was as well designed as the rest of that game. But the thing is, it's like it's a minor gripe because the rest of Zero Mission is such a great. It's the best way to play the first Metroid game, really. Because going back and trying to play the first Metroid game is a struggle.
Oh, Hades is a struggle.
It is a difficult, unnecessary struggle. So And I know some people are going to get mad when they hear that. Oh, what do you mean? Come on, man. You guys know that first
no
Metroid
map.
game.
You had no directional compass of where to go.
No map, shitty weapon that has the range of a shotgun.
I was about to say a pea shooter.
No, it's really up close. But
I was considering the power of it.
you know, it's just not. It's just that first Metroid is not a good way to play the first Metroid game. Metroid 2 better. Metroid 2 kind of fixes a lot of the issues of the first Metroid. Then you get Super Metroid, which is great. It's just not. I'll flip Kenoshi's first topic. I'll tell you a game that initially I didn't like, and then I went back and revisited it, and turned out it was much better than it has any business being. Wind Waker.
Yeah, same. No, actually, I'd go with Twilight Princess for me.
For me, it was Wind Waker, because I was one of those people, I don't like this art style, and that kind of kept me away from playing it. And then I went back and played it again, and I'm like, actually, this is pretty good.
Yeah, well, that's the same thing I felt about Twilight Princess. Like, I don't really like this art style. Doesn't really do it for me. I thought they kowtowed to, you know, the whole, oh, Zelda doesn't look realistic enough. When I played it, it's like, you know what, this isn't a bad game.
Now, the thing is that I always kind of like Twilight Princess because I like playing Twilight Princess. Twilight Princess feels like I said, I've said this before. It feels like a better version of Ocarina of Time. Because Ocarina of Time is kind of, I mean, it was good for its time, but that game hasn't aged that well. Whereas, you know, Twilight Princess fixes a lot of the issues that, like major issues that Ocarina of Time had. Like, for example, you know, like Zora's Domain, where it's like, oh, you freed Zora's Domain. Why is it still a frozen hellhole? Like, why do none of my actions have no real
consequence?
Like, they're like, oh, you saved this area. I don't feel like it. Except for your fat ass sitting up there. It's like, it's...
Your Highness, you should get off your rear end and move.
I mean, that's basically my major issue with Ocarina of Time. Is just the hardware limitations can clearly be seen with that game. And also just some really shitty design for some of the levels, some of the dungeons. Like, I would say, okay, the dungeons before the 7-year jump are pretty well designed, except for JB's Belly. Fuck that. But you know, the dungeon at the bottom of the well is pretty good. The Great Deku Tree dungeon, pretty good. The Dongo Cavern, pretty good. JB's Belly, fuck that dungeon. I hate that dungeon. It's poorly designed. But then you do the jump. The Forest Temple dungeon is fucking just... I hate that dungeon. It's badly designed. The Fire Temple dungeon is also poorly designed. The Water Temple. The Water Temple, that is a badly designed dungeon.
Yeah.
The idea behind the dungeon is good. Changing the water level in order to get to certain areas, good idea. Badly executed. The Spirit Temple is pretty good. The Shadow Temple is also pretty good. Ganon's Tower, trash. Fucking trash. So literally most of the dungeons in Ocarina of Time, like a good almost 40% of them aren't that well designed. And that's not good. But then you get Twilight Princess, and almost every dungeon in Twilight Princess is pretty well designed. You know, the Forest Temple, where you have to save the monkeys. pretty well designed. Um, the Goron Mines, pretty well designed. The Water Temple, pretty well designed. You know, it's just everything is pretty well designed in that game. But as far as damn, I lost my train of thought. Anyway, yeah, I'm not really that into most of these modern, quote unquote. I'm not really like. I kind of turned around on that game on on Wind Waker because basically, despite the cartoony aesthetic to Wind Waker, the game is pretty well made. Except there's some inherent flaws with that game that they have not fixed as of yet. Like never, as a matter of fact. The low count of dungeons, that shitty ass Triumph Forks quest where you have to find the Triforce, trash. But I mean those are minor things.
They made it easier to find.
They made them easier to find, but it still is like fucking tedious. Like here's the thing: if they didn't have such a low count of dungeons, they should have put those into dungeons. Mm-hmm. Like the second part of that game should have been you going into dungeons to find pieces of the Triforce of Courage. That should have been what that was, instead of, you know, fucking the bullshit we got. And that's kind of the flaw of Wind Waker. Is like I don't know if they were under a crunch to get it out, or they spent so much time working on getting the open world to work that they were like, shit, we got to get this other shit. I don't know, but that's my problem with that game. But I'll tell you one game that I hated when it came out, and I still hate now: Mario Sunshine.
I was gonna say, you and Mario Sunshine have a real hate-hate relationship.
I don't like it. I don't like that game, not one bit. And I know some people are gonna get mad when they hear that. How could you not like Mario Sunshine? I don't like Mario Sunshine. I don't like the level design. I don't like really the greatest enemy in Mario Sunshine isn't Bowser Jr., that little bastard.
I was about to say, isn't it the camera that always makes a Mario game a problem?
It's that shit ass camera, yeah. That's your greatest enemy in Mario Sunshine. It's that crappy ass camera. Like, the only Mario game where the camera wasn't, like, a big, huge issue is Galaxy 1 and 2. That's the only 3D Mario game I've played where the camera wasn't, like... And 3D World, because the camera was kind of pulled out far enough that you could see what you were doing, but... Odyssey, Sunshine, 64, that 3D camera, that camera is trash. You know, the greatest enemy in Mario 64 isn't Bowser. It's that damn camera. But now it's time to do, since we didn't do Asshole of the Week or Unpopular Opinion, I have 2 unpopular opinions, and then you guys can go. Then we'll wrap things up. My first unpopular opinion is this. I don't think Cyberpunk 2077 is that bad. I've been having fun with it. Now, here's the caveat, though. I got this game on PC, and my PC is spec'd out to run it on, if not the highest settings, pretty damn high. So, like, to me, I had like people like I go on YouTube and people like a collection of all the hilarious bugs of Cyberpunk 2077. The only bug that I've had in this game is walking up to someone and them the character textures not rendering, so it's just this blob, and then I walk back a little bit and it fully renders in, and that's it. Like, I haven't, like, people are like, man, I crashed through the floor and I glitched out.
Oh, no.
I haven't seen any of that. I haven't seen any of that.
Some of those bugs are hilarious. I saw. I was like, man, this is
like, I almost wish I could play the game and see some of these bugs because I'm not seeing them. The game is really stable for me. That's all I'm saying.
I kind of want to get this game just to have fun with those bugs.
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm like, if only I could play this game and see the bugs, but I'm not. Like, the only bug that I'm seeing is, like I said, the texture's not rendering properly on people's bodies when I go to an area. Like, I'm walking around and someone will walk past me and they're like a blob, and then I look at them a little bit, and then the textures will render in. That's the only bug I've really seen in the game thus far. Now, I've had some other minor bugs early on before they patched it, where like certain sequence breaking. But here's the thing: I've played other games that had sequence breaking, so I'm not really like that's just that happens in open world RPGs. That's not like this game does that. That happens in a lot of open world RPGs. The sequence get broken. And then you just reload and start it, and hopefully it'll pick up the hook again. And my second unpopular opinion is I actually I didn't like Wonder Woman 84.
I was about to say, I thought you would say it would be an okay movie.
I didn't like the other Wonder Woman movie. I have not liked any of the DC superhero movies. I don't like Christopher Nolan's Batman trilogy.
I was saying that I thought that Wonder Woman 84 would be at least a better movie than the first Wonder Woman.
It's ironically it's worse. And here's the thing: to me, the first Wonder Woman was like a C- movie. This is like a D+.
Ouch.
Yeah.
And that's the only thing. I only hope that the first one, the second Wonder Woman, would actually be better than the first. That's the only hope I had.
No, it's a studio's by the number film. And then the worst thing is that Gal Gadot had the nerve to say, "I'm gonna play Cleopatra in a Cleopatra movie," and I'm like,
I was about to say,
I'm done.
Do you know what happens with Cleopatra?
I was like, I'm done. I'm not dealing with this. I'm done. I'm fucking done. But anyway, those are my two unpopular opinions. Who wants to go next with their unpopular opinion?
My unpopular opinion is that Cyberpunk, CD Projekt Red, don't say anything. Don't talk to the media. Don't answer any questions. Just focus on fixing your game.
No, I agree.
Because what? Have you ever seen somebody that's royally screwed up, and they just make things worse when they keep talking?
Normally, normally I would agree with you, but literally, it's not that they're making things worse because, at least to me, because with every patch that they release for this game, and I've gotten all the patches thus far, the game is getting more stable on PC. Now, for people who bought this shit on the PS4 and the original Xbox, I feel sorry for y'all, but you know this shit wasn't made for your consoles. You know that CD Projekt Red is a PC. They are a PC platform first, okay? You know good and hell well this shit was not built for your console. Like, this shit's unplayable. It wasn't made for you.
Don't advertise your game for it. They should have. Like, the thing is, right? They shouldn't have. My problem with that is they shouldn't have announced this game for the PS4 and Xbox One.
No, they shouldn't have.
You know, people were already complaining at the launch of those consoles. But they were already under. You know, people were mad that the consoles were underpowered because let's be real. The jump to Xbox One and PS4 was not that significant compared to going from the GameCube to the PS3 and Xbox 360.
No, it was the jump wasn't as big from 6th to 7th gen, just like the jump wasn't as big from 7th to 8th gen. Like really, the biggest jump that we've seen in gaming was from the third gen, was from the second gen to the third gen. Because after that, because look at the first games that came to the Genesis, and the Super Nintendo. Like the very first games that hit, they look like moderately advanced, like really advanced NES games from the NES to the SNES, and from the Sega Genesis, from the original Master System to the Genesis. They did not look like what you got later on in those consoles' life cycles.
Yeah.
So really, the biggest jump we've had was from like the Atari to the second gen systems to the third gen, from like 2 and 4-bit to 8-bit. It was the biggest jump we ever had in terms of, wow, this is really impressive. After that, it's just been diminishing returns.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. They kind of do need to sit down and do what they've been doing. Look, they've been releasing patches. The game has been getting better over time with the patches. And really, that's gaming now. Okay, when people accepted Microsoft putting a hard drive onto the Xbox, the original Xbox, and they said, "Oh, this will let developers patch their games after launch. If there's a bug." When people accepted that, they also were taking the bullshit that went along with that, which meant developers would give you unfinished games, and they would be patched after launch. And for people who are like, well, why is Sony taking CD Projekt Cyberpunk off of their thing, but not Microsoft? Don't you know Microsoft bought Bethesda? Look, if they take CD Projekt Red's game off of their system, when Bethesda inevitably releases their buggy, broken piece of shit, they're gonna have to do the same thing to the studio that they own. So, I mean, what?
It kind of sets a precedence too for them as a company if they took their game off the store. Like, there's like this admitting defeat.
Yeah, and plus they helped market that game.
Sony did not want to do.
Yeah, they couldn't. But I mean, look, listen, they fucked up. We're not lying. They didn't. They did fuck up. But I mean, on the other end of the spectrum, I've said this before. The game was not built for consoles.
Yeah.
It was not built for consoles. I'm sorry. I know some people are going to get angry. It was not built for consoles. I know they said they could put it on consoles, but hell, just because you can't look. You could put a frozen pizza in a toaster oven. That doesn't mean that's the best way to cook a frozen pizza. Okay. But what's your unpopular opinion?
I'm the last one on the list.
Yep.
Some of the most overrated games I consider to be movie games, and two of those movie games are the Last of Us series and The Order 1886. I consider them highly overrated for the system at their time, in their times. And I get quiet.
I mean, that's not really an unpopular opinion.
Yeah, tell that to the people that I keep on telling them that The Last of Us is a is an overrated and overhyped game that shouldn't be on a pedestal of any kind.
Well,
And I and
Like the thing about The Last of Us 2 is that it's a really nice looking game, but the
I
game
said it's a
itself isn't very
I said it's an
good.
overrated
yeah.
movie game.
Here's
And
the
not to
thing.
mention they alienated a great deal of their fan base.
Here's the thing, okay? Here's what I'm going to say about The Last of Us in the order. These games that basically are like movie games, they're basically the next generation of those adventure games from when we were kids. Or actually, not adventure games, those FMV games.
Oh,
They're basically
no!
they're
I already
basically
hate those.
well, I don't like them either, but they're basically the next generation, more refined version of those FMV games from back in the day. And once you see them through that lens, it's like, okay, yeah, they're for a more shallow, casual audience because they're impressed by that. They don't give a fuck about gameplay. They want to be told a story. That's what they want.
Right. I
Now,
got
me
night trapped in
personally,
my head all over again. Thank you very much, Red.
me personally, I don't want to play a movie. If I want to, because here's the thing, I have an entire library of video of movies on film and HD DVD and Blu-ray that I can watch anytime I want. And I even have some film on Laserdisc, even though I don't have a Laserdisc player. But I'm a filmophile. I'm a cinephile. Yes, I have the original Star Wars and Empire Strikes Back on Laserdisc, and they are worth like $400 a piece. But I think one day I'll do a film video showing those things off. But anyway, so I mean, I understand where people are really into movies and shit, and movies that they can play. It's really exciting, but I mean, that's what people, that's what people, that's what people like these days. I mean, the more casual gamer wants to play a movie. That's their thing. Me personally, I don't want to play a movie, but I can understand why people want to play a movie. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's their opinion. But yeah. Anyone here seen Soul?
I heard of it.
I saw it on Disney Plus. It's pretty good. It's not great. It's pretty good. Um, it's not my favorite Pixar film done by Steve Doctor. Sorry, Pete Doctor. Um, my favorite Pete Doctor film from Pixar is Up, followed by Wall-E. Because Pete Doctor knows how to make you want to cry.
One of the biggest things, one of the greatest lessons that Up teaches is that never want to meet your hero. Sometimes it can turn out to be a real ass.
Yeah, but it also teaches that family is what you make of it. Even when you're old, you're never too old to have an adventure.
Yeah. I mean, I got the rest of that stuff. It's
But
just,
I mean, Pixar. Everyone's like Disney's coming back. No, fuck the rest of Disney. But Pixar, when Pete Docter is in charge, Pete Docter can basically, in the first 10, 15 minutes of a Pete Docter Pixar film that he's directing, he can basically have you almost crying in the first 5, 6 minutes. Like Up, no words are said, and just seeing this man meet the love of his life, him growing up, he and his wife finding out that she can't have kids, And then them just living together and like we're gonna save our money and go travel the world. His wife getting sick and dying. It's like this is some fucked up shit, man. Why you got me crying in the movie theater? You know, damn you, Pete Doctor. You know, it's like damn you, Wally.
Don't get me wrong. That definitely did. That definitely was a good movie when I saw it. But like it's just I guess part of it is I never do. Why that aspect of the movie reached out to me is because I never do trust your favorite musician or favorite actors or favorite heroes, because I'm just kind of like I rather just know them in this context rather than
a shallow knowledge of them. I mean, normally I would agree with you, but I've seen documentaries about people who were genuinely good people. It's rare to find there's this documentary about Fred Rogers, and you find out that Fred Rogers was genuinely a good person, and it makes you want to cry. Like there's a scene where they show him interacting with this kid in a wheelchair, and you're like, you start crying because it's like to find a genuinely good person doing good things is just amazing, Because I mean, so many people are fake. It's a manufactured persona, but to find genuinely good people, it's like, my God, I'm amazed.
Yeah, I did appreciate those. I do appreciate those other aspects of that movie.
But Up is pretty good. Except the only downside of Up is every time I hear the main character, Ed Asner, I'm like, because I used to watch Mary Tyler Moore, and I'm like, it's Lou. It's Lou from Mary Tyler Moore. It's like, oh, Mary, you got spunk. I hate spunk. It's like, oh, God, Ed Asner. You fucked up now. Ed Asner's going to get in your ass. Ed Asner. Yeah, but yeah, it's like I said, Pixar. I don't love everything about Pixar. Like I don't like
Toy Story.
I don't like Toy Story, and I know people are like, I love Toy Story. I hate Toy Story, and the reason I hate Toy Story is because when I was a kid, Toy Story 1 had just come out, and then it came out on video, and I used to spend a lot of time in aftercare, and the fucking movie that they showed all the time in aftercare was Toy Story. I'm Toy Storied out.
Well, the thing I like about Pixar is they seem to be the only few CGI companies that can make a CGI film, and it ages pretty well, visually speaking.
Yeah.
Like everybody else, where it doesn't particularly age all that well.
I mean, because they have an art style that isn't Uncanny Valley.
Yeah.
Uncanny Valley just ruins
a movie.
Well, it ruins CGI when it's Uncanny Valley. Like that monstrosity Polar Express. Oh God, with those people. Oh man, that film is horrible.
I haven't seen that movie in a while, so I
just
can't
those.
Really
that CGI is so Uncanny Valley that the people look creepy. It's like, my God, this is horrific. Turn it off.
Yeah.
Like, I hate Uncanny Valley type stuff. But then again, you have to remember, I'm one of those people who grew up in the age of practical special effects that were good. So, like, arguably some of the best practical special effects ever made. So, and even cheesy stuff I like. Like, I would rather have a shitty puppet than CGI.
Yeah. Well, while we're on the topics of movies, black and white versus color, because I heard an interesting conversation last night where, people have this idea that color is an upgrade from black and white rather than just a design choice. Where some movies work better in black and white versus some movies that work better in color.
That's true. There are some movies that were made in black and white that when you see the colorized version of it, it looks weird, like it's better in black and white. and there's some
Yeah.
movies that are better in color. Like I've seen like old Twilight Zone episodes that were colorized, and Three Stooges episodes that were colorized, and it looks odd. It's better to seeing it in
Yeah.
black and white. It just
Yeah.
depends on what you're doing. Like some things look better in black and white, some things look better in color. It just depends on what the film direction is.
Yeah.
And people forget that. They think, well, it's supposed to be in color. Well, not necessarily.
No, not always. Yeah.
You know, some things are better one way or another. I know people are
Yeah.
going to get mad about that, but you know. But anyway, anyone else have any other unpopular opinions they want to get out? I would say asshole of the week, but I'm tired of asshole of the week. No more asshole of the week this year. I mean, I know we only have a week left, but this year, but
We could hang on.
no more assholes of the week this year until
Please
until
do
next
not-
year.
Please, gaming industry, do not give us a reason to bring it back.
Don't give me another asshole of the week until next year. At least give us a week off. Anyone have any other unpopular opinions? And it doesn't have to be about video games. It could be about television, movies, books.
I think we're okay, especially since we went over the time.
Oh, that's true. All right.
So, if anything, thank you everyone for joining us at the BS Busters Other Way podcast. You can hit us up with email. You can hit us up on Twitter. You can hit us up on the Discord. It depends on what you want.
Yeah, the choice is yours. So with that being said, that's the end of this podcast. Rate, comment, share, subscribe. Peace, good night, and
Get ready for the new year.
that's right. Good night.